All right, let's go ahead and talk some Indians baseball. The winter meetings are happening right now in Nashville. We're joined by our Indians beat reporter, Paul Hoynes. Hoynesy, how are you doing?
Good, guys. How you doing today?
Doing well, Paul. And the Indians, there were some rumors popping up yesterday that they were interested, or maybe some rumors that even said they were close to acquiring Todd Frazier from the Reds. Is there anything to that at all?
Yeah, definitely. They talked several times. Right now, I think it's kind of, the Reds are shopping Frazier all over the place. But, they're in a total rebuild, and they're looking for the best deal they can get. Right now, the last thing I heard is that the asking price is too high from the Indians' point of view. But I don't think the talks are dead. They're kind of, just kind of on the back burner right now. But he would certainly, a guy that could hit 35 home runs would certainly look good hitting in the middle of that lineup, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Paul, what's your best guess as to what the price would be? What would the Indians have to give up to get a guy like that?
I'm thinking, if they're rebuilding, the Reds are rebuilding, they probably would like some young pitching. And I don't know if by young pitching you're talking about Danny Salazar. I think that's probably out of the question if that's the way they're going. But if they want to trade prospect, if they're looking for young position players that maybe are a year or two away from the big leagues, you've got Clint Frazier, you've got Bradley Zimmer, two outfielders, and then you've got some decent young pitchers. Maybe I don't know if it's Anderson. Maybe if the Indians would go that far, but I think the Indians are being real careful with their starting. Obviously, they're being real careful with their starting pitching, and I think they'd rather go, prospects for Frazier than anybody that's really kind of major league ready.
Yeah, Hoynesy, this is sort of an interesting position for the Indians because obviously their position of strength is pitching. That seems to be where you would want to trade from, but at the same time, that's sort of what they've been selling everyone on, that this team is going to win with pitching and good defense. Now, the defense hasn't exactly lived up to it over the last few years, but the pitching has. Is it the right idea to maybe hang on to these guys and only trade them if what they're getting back is kind of a ridiculous amount?
I was told that they're kind of the organizational mindset is that we're going to pitch these guys and figure out a way to score some runs. And I think we saw how that worked last year for most of the season. It didn't work too well. You got to score runs to win. And, with the price of starting pitching, I can see why they feel that way. And Terry Francona, I thought, made a pretty good observation. He said yesterday that if we trade, Carrasco or Salazar or Kluber or Bauer, we can't afford to go out and get that same kind of pitcher on the free agent market. It's just too much money for us. So, they really have to be perfect here, I think. They've got to hit a home run if they're going to trade any one of those guys. And, they've got to get like a Bartolo Colon type deal, but they need major league ready players. And that's what makes it so difficult, I think.
Paul, is there any possibility they're thinking that with a new scoreboard, nobody will notice all the zeros up there?
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
You can use that if you want.
Okay.
I think I also heard you say that they need to get Bartolo Colon in a trade. Is that what you said?
That's right.
Now, hey, what do you think of? Would Frazier be the prime guy out there for this team if they could find a way to pull it off? Is there somebody else you have in mind?
Well, there's a bunch of guys that they're talking about that. Jorge Solar, the right fielder with the Cubs, the young right fielder with the Cubs. The Indians have been in love with this guy since he came over from Cuba. They thought they might have a chance at signing him kind of under the radar, because Cespedes was free agent at the same time, but the Cubs blew him away and paid a bunch of money, and the Indians couldn't hang with him. But that's an interesting guy to me. Or I'm sure the Indians are asking for Schwarber perhaps as well. I don't want to see Schwarber play the left field, but I certainly would like to see him DH because that guy, all he did was hit hit rockets against the Indians and against everybody else after he came up with the Cubs, probably in the middle of last season. They talk to the Giants quite a bit. Joe Panik's name keeps coming up with the Giants, their second baseman, and I'm not sure exactly how that works. If they're thinking of moving, if they would move Panik to third, or they move Kipnis to third, So there's a lot of things going around, and they've talked to Houston about George Springer, and a young outfielder that kind of matches, that they'd have control of him for 4 or 5 years, just as they have control of like a Salazar or Carrasco for the next 4 or 5 years.
Paul, do you have any insight into where this Brantley not ready till July or August story came from, and how much validity you put in it?
Yeah, I know exactly where it came from because I was talking to the guy that started it on Sunday night, and I know this guy, and he's kind of half bluster, half fact, and he told Gammons that, and Gammons went right on the air with it. So I mean, I think there is some concern there. I think you hear the Indians now talking about it might not. They've kind of ruled out April, and they're talking more like May now, or that Brantley will be back. He just had a checkup Tuesday by the doctor who did the surgery. He was back in Cleveland Tuesday night getting examined by the medical staff. And I think and they say everything's on schedule. The thing that I think they're concerned about is it's his right shoulder, it's his lead shoulder. It being a left-handed hitter, that's his hitting is going to probably be more affected than his defense.
Hoynes, come on, Gammons needs to know. He knows that we can't handle that in Cleveland. All right, Hoynes, we appreciate you taking the time.